It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay By Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosile Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
McDow supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene, vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluffs. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Wonderful Tuesday afternoon to you, everyone. It is the 29th day of the month of July 2025. This is The Real Issues with me, Shelton Daniel, your host, alongside our technical operator, Alton Jaquan Joseph. Terry Fenelon won't be with us today. He had a previously unscheduled appointment that he got to know about yesterday after this show was over, because it had been his intention, which he had announced to me yesterday, that he would be with me pretty much for the entire week. You know, on Fridays he does a program on another local media house. So normally Fridays would have been out for him, but Friday is a holiday, the 1st of August, Emancipation Day. But he had intended to be here from Monday through Thursday, but he got a call with an appointment that was made for him to participate in something important, and so he could not be here today. All right, so Terry, wherever you are, how it's going, I hope well, and we look forward to having you again with us tomorrow, Wednesday. Our program, as you know, airs weekdays from 12:30 until 2 p.m. on the radio station Real FM, serving you on the frequencies of 91.3 megahertz for the north and 91.5 for the south, We simulcast on NBC Television, channel 120 on the Flow Cable TV service. We are on Facebook Live and also available to you via YouTube live streaming. Hope you're having a good day so far, and I don't see any reason why not. It's another of those very beautiful days. You know, the days of June have continued into the month of July, and let's hope they continue throughout the rest of 2025. We know we're in the hurricane season, for we always have to be on the alert. We always have to be prepared. But generally, we can say it's been so far so good. Now, I came ready to announce about a missing young boy, a missing teenager, 15 years old. And just as a couple minutes before we're due to go on air, I got this message that he has been found, all right? Young man, won't even bother saying his name again. He's, after all, a minor. So why create any kind of, alarm and basically to have any ears and eyes and whatever, dilated over it, that he has been found. And so his mother, who I think had put out the notice, very worried, understandably so, expectedly so. I hope that you are very much consoled. And sometimes when children send your blood pressure and they send your anxiety levels and your heart rate and all of that into the crisis zone, when finally they show up again, I don't know if it's the relief that you feel. You scream at them, "Where were you?" And then you want to give them a tap, a bats, as we say, and so on. I'm hoping that his family are not that type, that they can have a certain degree of aplomb and equanimity and calm about them and concentrate more on welcoming him back, Of course, a good talking to if it was just one of those little errant episodes, etc., where he decides to go off with friends, goes by friends, maybe some Nintendo, whatever was so interesting, decides to just stay there, maybe crashes out, on a couch somewhere with his friends and forgets and figures, it's summer vacation anyway. So, what does it really matter? There's no school and so on. My brother will figure out, that I'm with some buddies, and, this kind of thing can happen very easily. So I think we're all together with the parents, with his mother, and others who would be feeling that sense of relief. And like I said, I'm sure he'll get the correction and the guidance not to do that anymore. It's very difficult for us to appreciate when we're not yet parents, the kind of stress that we cause to our parents when we do this little. Everything seems harmless to us, So we climb a tree, and our parents are ready to pull their hair out, and you're on the tree, and what's the big deal about that? You're feeling like you're on top of the world. You relax, you could fall asleep on it, or you go to the beach, and before you even quarter way into the surf area, the white churning water, boy, do not go any further, boy, before you drown. And hey man, the sea is so inviting, etc. But when you grow up and you have children of your own, you understand perhaps a lot more acutely the kind of anxiety that you caused your parents when you were young, and it looked like nothing could ever go wrong. You could never die, because drownings do take place, and children get lost and they're never found, or when they are found, lifeless. So it's good to have that kind of continuous conversation and rapport. It does not need to become abusive. It does not need to involve as we would call the rubber that you peel off electrical cable. Do they still call it that, the kakarusti? You knew that name, Jaquan, young as you are, it didn't need to involve a kakarusti or something of that kind and so on. Okay, making light, after all, he's been found alive, and I hope well, no harm done, etc. Now, what was it that I had otherwise to talk about? Yes, West Indies cricket. Yeah, the young man may have been found, but West Indies cricket is still lost. Lost Indies, that tour by Australia to the West Indies has to go down as a real disaster, as a real total wreck job, a wipeout for the West Indies by Australia. And It's even more painful that it is happening in the West Indies, in our Caribbean, in our sunshine, in our, not even in our backyard, in our yard, in our territory, in our zone, that Australia, no matter how strong, would come to the West Indies and do that to us in test, in T20s. I don't know if they have any 50 over games planned and so on, but to me, everything seems futile. The way Australia utterly walked over us in the 3 tests, and it's because we're no longer commercially viable and attractive and lucrative and so on, that when teams like Australia play us, that it's only 3 tests. More than that, it's not profitable. It is not financially viable or justifiable and so on. So the number of tests, because that's over 5 days you're talking, it's becoming fewer and fewer when we play other international teams, especially those that are top flight and so on. If you go for more than that, you will end up losing money. You will end up having to put more money and other resources into it than you ever have a hope or a chance of getting back. So Australia come, they play 3 tests. And the thing is, they really finish it off in the most ruthless and merciless manner, beating West Indies, by bowling them out in their second innings for no more than 27 runs. 27 runs. West Indies, being bowled out by Australia in Jamaica in a test innings for just 27. But if that were not enough, T20 cricket, 20 overs, where West Indies are supposed to have some clout, where they're supposed to have some standing, some reputation, some legacy, that fearsomeness never showed up. It never. Australia coolly walking over West Indies in all 5 T20 games as if West Indies might as well have not been there. So, this is really sad. And like I say, this is our compatriot, Darren Sammy. He's not the only one. We have other people, cricket board, director of cricket. We have assistant coach. We have a batting coach. We have all different kinds of people. My feeling about it is that they should at least tender their resignations. If West Indies Cricket Board and others decide to tell them, no, we want you to stay, but they should at least offer their resignations. But in all countries that we consider real countries, real cricketing countries, the real world, as Rick Wayne used to love saying, there's no way you could preside over those kinds of results where you were absolutely mangled and shellacked, absolutely crushed and obliterated by opposition, coming so far away into your own yard and do that to you, and for you to even have a hope, even have a desire to hold on to that job. Most people, and let's not forget about the coach alone, they would have walked. They would have walked, or they would have been very quickly pushed, an announcement would have been made. So we'll see how this one goes. But quite honestly, this is painful. And that's why I tell you, sometimes I disconnect, from cricket, because the emotions associated with it are just too much for you to take in, and so on and so forth. People, what I'm about to say, I don't know how to say it for it not to come out as being slightly controversial. It's a hypothetical scenario, at least part of it. It's nothing that I know. It's nothing that is happening or I believe is happening, whatever. I just want to use it to illustrate. But when has Shelton Daniel not been controversial? I'm a Labour Party supporter from the time I know myself or open my eyes where political consciousness is concerned. I've never pretended otherwise. I've never flinched. I've never backed off. But I also have a certain degree of self-respect. I also have a certain degree of what I think is capacity. I'm not any great intellectual to think, to analyze things, and above all, as a broadcaster, I believe I am duty-bound, particularly in my role as a talk show host, to entertain, to tolerate, to invite, to facilitate discussion. This thing where we must block, and we must suppress, and we must obfuscate any kind of discussion that seems to lean on the side of critiquing, much less criticizing our party and so on, is something I do not subscribe to. I believe to do that, what you are going to have is a stultification, is an erosion, is a basically shrinking, atrophying of thoughts and the energy of ideas and so on if you do that. I can't really talk about UWPs. I can't really relate to them because I've never been part of their vibe. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you, lately I struggle, which is a bad thing, to be able on Sundays to be patient, to listen to those town halls and those lives, etc. What comes out of it is not inspiring, it's not stimulating, it's not enlightening, especially the political leader. I find for a man who's a leader, a former prime minister, a former minister of portfolios such as finance and economic development and all those things, who tells us his history was that he started as an economist in the Ministry of Planning under Osbert Dovey, who went on to become Director of Tourism of St. Lucia, who was Minister for Tourism and Civil Aviation, a man who told us about working for Air Jamaica and working for some, his father said about some, United Nations body, whatever. And so I just find for a man with that kind of history, with that kind of CV, with that kind of, bio and so on, I just find Alan Chasney is very vapid. He's uninspiring. He doesn't seem to have substance. You get a feeling that this is a man who may have all the credentials and all the ticks by his name for this thing, but you're just not feeling the vibe of him. There doesn't seem to be that educative. There doesn't seem to be that developmental impact of the man, whether on an audience listening to him or even those around him, because leaders to me ought to uplift and inspire people. I get the feeling that other people in the UWP who may create a bit of excitement, they do so on their own, out of their own residue of resourcefulness or experience, whatever, not because they're getting any spark, not because they're getting any jolt from their leader. Surprised though we may be about Titus Prevel's decision to come to run for the UWP, I think that's secondary. His motivations for doing it, secondary. Whatever rewards or inducements he may have been offered, that's his business. You know me, if somebody were to come to me and tell me, Shelton, this is your age, this is the salary that you will make up until a certain point if you retire, what's your contract say? This is the gratuity that you would get if the contract is terminated or when it comes to an end. This is whatever. I'm prepared to pay you all of that. And it comes to 1 million or 1.5 million or whatever, we're prepared to pay you all of that. Your salary for the balance of your contract, your gratuity, whatever pension, this kind of thing. They were to offer me that kind of sweetheart deal. I can't tell you I won't at least consider it, much less tell you I won't accept it. So I hear a lot of talk about Titus working for CARICOM and head of the CSME, and he receives some kind of payment as an inducement for him to come and run the Babuno seat and so on. For all we know, that's happening all the time, regardless of political party. I'm not telling you I know it's happening, but for all you know, this thing has been happening from time immemorial. Who knows whether it has not happened on the other side? I consider all of those things to be secondary. I myself have said, when I look at people like, I hadn't mentioned Titus yet, but when I look at people like Stephen Favre, Tommy Descott, who else I'll think of? And too many of them, but let's say Stephen, Tommy, and now Titus. I too ask myself the question, why would people like that, who obviously have some little self-knowledge of their onions, who know their onions a little bit, at least, who know some stuff in their fields, whether it's economics or international relations, diplomacy, or trade, trade negotiations and international trade or whatever it is. They know something about those things. They have some expertise. They have some experience. They have some credentials in those fields, etc. Why would they want to come and submit, which is what he himself has demanded, to someone like Alan Chastney, who's a road to nowhere? And the only answer I could come up, and I gave you the whole history about, people who were with the Labour Party and they fell out with Julian Hunt. Back in the day, I used to work for Julian Hunt as his press secretary / personal assistant. And those of them who were conversational with me, I did say to them, guys, whatever your feelings now are about Julian, understand that Julian is a man. Thank God he's still with us. Julian, things can change tomorrow, and he can move, he can resign, he can be pushed out, he can die. And the manner in which you all are going as if you all are enemies of the Labour Party and you all are doing everything to destroy and undermine the Labour Party and bringing it into dispute because of something you all have with Julian. Tomorrow, Julian can no longer be a factor or an issue, and then you will struggle for you to reconnect with and reintegrate into the Labour Party. I can tell you some names. The office was upstairs, the ward building on Bridge Street, leader of the opposition's office. And they used to come there, maybe collect correspondence, and a lot of them used to make a point of taking digs at me. But how a man like you, would work for Julian Hunt, Malpali kind of thing, try to mess up your mind and so on. And I told you the example about a leader of the British Labour Party, a guy called John Smith, a lawyer, who had taken over after Neil Kinnock had resigned, stepped down after 3 election defeats. And Julian had developed a relationship with the British Labour Party where I don't know how much they had disbursed, but they had agreed to help the St. Lucia Labour Party in tangible ways, with organization, with funding, whatever, and so on. He had developed a rapport with John Smith. And he had just spoken to John Smith, I think, the previous night about something, and he woke up the next morning and John Smith was gone, dead from a heart attack. And I remember Hunt telling me that in his office. Look at John Smith, Look at this man was there. So all those people who believe that they can try to stress me out, we're here today, we're gone tomorrow. Julian Hunt could not have known the way his leadership of the Labour Party and leader of the opposition would come to a very quick, sudden, unexpected end, which is what brought in Kenny Anthony and so on. So it's not very pleasant, etc. But a lot of the people, they decided when Kenny Anthony came and he spread out to come back, pull them back in, the Odlum brothers, etc., etc. And some of them, and I think most of them, made it back in. Kenny Anthony did a good job in that. And a few of them struggled to reintegrate. I can tell you some names. They just could not reintegrate because the damage that they had done or tried to do to the Labour Party had gone too far. And Labour Party people would not accept them, forgive them, or trust them again. Going on Flambeau platform, taking SLP t-shirt, rolling it up in a ball and kicking it and do this kind of thing. There's some things like that. You don't come back from them. I could tell you other names, but I'm going to leave it at that. Why am I going with all of this? Folks, soldiering and standing up for your party and criticizing and opposing does not always have to be the kind of Neanderthal, primitive, savage attack. The moment you show up, I'm on your tail and nothing you do can be good, nothing you say can be... This is not the case with Titus Spreville. Titus Spreville said something last night. And I have to ask myself, I'm going to be having Dr. Carlton Augustine after we come back from the 1 o'clock ad break to go a little deeper into what Minister Emma Hippolyte explained about zero-rated, the difference between zero-rated and VAT exempt. But the point I want to make is that this is where I would go after, and if you want to call it attack, but criticize, and take Titus Spreville to task and pin him to the wall. How can a man like you, who was once director of commerce or director of trade, whatever, you were permanent secretary. Titus is a former principal information officer, head of the GIS. That may not be that relevant. But Titus is a man who went on to head the CSME unit of CARICOM I think is based in Barbados, etc. CSME unit was almost like a separate CARICOM on its own. It had a lot of power and independence back in the days when it was headed by a Jamaican man called, what's his name again? I forget his name. You know, back in the days when they were negotiating a new agreement with the EU and so on. I forgot the name of that Jamaican. I interviewed him a couple of times. I was with him a few times. Nice guy and so on. But Titus has become head of CSME. You mean Titus don't understand the difference between VAT exempt and zero rated? Emma Hippolyte has to come and set him straight on that. He's confusing that and he's telling people as if the government trying to mama guide them. They're telling them about they reducing the price on 70 items, that they're going to zero rate them, but 25 of them were already VAT exempt as if they're the same thing. A man like you with your kind of experience and credentials, you should not put yourself or be in that kind of position, because right away you're going to make people wonder whether you are fake, whether you are fraud, whether you're an imposter. People are going to ask those kind of questions, and this is the kind of discussion I think we need to pursue. The ad hominem stuff about, personal life that does not impact, a person's public persona and all of that they could have been PS and director of commerce and all of that for so long and it never came. I wouldn't go down that road, and I'll tell you why. I like to give little illustrations and examples when I talk. Maybe listening to me would have heard over the years what a great fan I was of the Star Wars series of movies and so on. And one of the very touching scenes in it, which had a very deep significance that maybe we missed, that was the theme of it anyway, was in the third part of it. Well, it later became part 6 because of the way they worked backwards with it and so on. Return of the Jedi. When the young man Luke Skywalker, the young Jedi and so on, had his final confrontation with the Emperor Palpatine, the Sith Lord, and his father Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, stood by and watched the Emperor inflicting hideous pain, on his son, telling him he's going to kill him because he refused to join him and his father in the dark side. And Darth Vader was just looking like, is this for real? I thought he was maybe just going to hurt him a little, looking, but is he really going to kill my son? Am I going to stand there? He didn't say it, but you could see, looking at the Emperor, looking at his son, seeing his son dying before his eyes. And for all the evil that he had become, he couldn't take it anymore. He lifted the Emperor, threw him into the base of a reactor, destroyed him, and in the process, the energy force from the Emperor and his dying moments and so on, just before he flung him away and killed him, it killed Darth Vader himself. He couldn't bear to see his son dying. Where am I going with this, folks? It is well known from everything that has been revealed that Dr. Claudius Previll is no fan, perhaps no friend of Alan Chastney. He refuses to join him, and who knows how much Dr. Previll may have dissuaded, discouraged, pleaded with, argued with, fought with his brother not to do that. But Titus is a grown man. He's his own man. But no matter how much Dr. Claudius Previll may disagree, family is family. And if we go too hard in the wrong manner, in an ad hominem way, in the Pache Hadsal, behind the Titus Previll, and we do it too early, you may well be putting Claudius, and I haven't spoken to him, in a situation where he's like Darth Vader, watching his son being killed, and no matter how much I follow and I'm loyal to, and I believe in the Lord of the Dark Side, family. And other family members will be telling him, Claudius, you mean you're going to be with those people and see them attacking Titus like that on a down and dirty personal way and so on? And that is why I say, we ought to be careful how we conduct our politics. Sometimes it's not necessary. It's not everything that we have to be on a I ain't nothing attack and I come in for you and so on. If it is a situation where Claudius may be working in the background, upholding the fact that this is his sibling, But at the same time, he's fundamentally opposed to Chasney, maybe fundamentally supportive of the Labour Party. Do we want to put him in an awkward position where he may not be as effective, or he may step back from this altogether, or as helpful as he might be to the Labour Party, he would not be again, because, no matter what he thinks about his brother's move, whether he thinks it's foolish, it's misguided or whatever, but to see people feel they have to be dishy-weighing Titus. I'm not saying don't dishy-weigh him, but dishy-weigh him when things like that matter about the zero-rated as opposed to the exempt VAT. You're supposed to know that and understand it clearly. You're supposed to be able to explain it to people, not to confuse it yourself. Otherwise, you're being deliberately disingenuous. And that is the question. If you are so, why? Maybe if Dr. Claudius Preble were prepared to come on a panel, even on real issues, to say, no, Titus got it wrong and this is a mix-up and he's confused on that. You think if he sees people tearing into his brother in a personal way, he'll want to do that? He'll feel like basically he is lending reinforcement and backer to people who come in after. And like I said, other family members might be telling him, Claudius, can you do that? Let me take this a little further. He's stretching it a bit, And this is the part I hesitated to say, because people might think I know something. People think I'm more of an insider than I am, and I'm not. I deliberately stay away from a lot of things, events and so on, because for some reason people seem to believe that I am a guy who gets daily briefings. The things people bring to me for me to take forward for them because they believe I'm more connected. I do what I can, Just this morning, I shot off a message to 2 ministers about an elderly person who contacted me because they have overhanging trees and they're afraid that these things might fall on their house and walk in and hurricane season. I know. I just shot off a couple of messages. I not have any influence. But suppose those who believe that people like Titus, Stephen, Tommy, that they're in the UWP because they are thinking down the road about life after Chasney. Suppose that's what. Suppose Titus really has another agenda that nobody knows about, that he wants to come in and supplant Chasney from within. Suppose his brother is in on it with him. Suppose Claudius is working with him to see how they can get into it. Claudius can't do it because the cake between he and Chasney, as far as we know, it burned. Titus still has some chemistry that he's able to get inside there. And maybe, I don't know if a good word is to wreck things, but to reform things or to change things, or when Chasney think he's doing this, the elbow. It's not anything I know. But suppose there is that little backdoor, backroom, clandestine plan on the part of those people to do that. But we're not giving them a breathing space. We after them over this, over what we know about him and his wife and this, that, and so on and so forth. Might we possibly be wrecking something that could turn out in our favor at some point? Now, nobody's saying to give the guy kid gloves treatment and to handle. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there are some Labour Party people, in my opinion, who believe too much in out-and-out attack from the very get-go, from the very start. Somebody show up their head in a flabo, cap or color, that's why I keep on saying, folks, watch your leader, Philip Joseph Pierre. Follow the leader. You have a good leader. Take your cue from him. When he is not perturbed, and I'm not saying Philip J. Pierre has to be the one to go out there and do the militant taking on, and he's the prime minister. He has to maintain a certain dignity, a certain respectability. He has to uphold the required and expected decorum of public office. And there is no office that calls for greater decorum than the office of chief servant, chief executive servant of the people, aka prime minister. He has to observe it. So there are certain ways Philip J. Pierre should not go about, Yes, when he's on a platform, he's on fire. But he's the prime minister of the whole country. I understand that. But generally, we should look at this leader and take our cue, take our signal from him. If he's not seeing something that he has to be fire and brimstone and on a ton of bricks, it's probably because he maintains the advice that he gives all the time. Keep calm, maintain your focus, and keep your eyes on the prize. It's not everything awaje. Furon kout bout bra. We wash de yo. Tombe an pache had salo. Futo denye mépris. Ek parole jete. Ek tout sa me connect about who. And then tomorrow, with some good massaging and maintaining a certain respectability, we might see that person being on your side, to your great surprise, to your shock, because they wake up to realize what Von Lewis realized and told us, that the substance of government is over here, when he was on the Castries Market steps on a Labour Party platform for the first time. The substance of government is over here and not over there. We've seen it happen before. Let us not foil and ruin and monkey wrench and fly in the ointment and spoil, the chance of seeing it happen again. And nothing I know. But with someone like Alan Chasney, the disgust that he is generating, and we've seen it repeatedly among so many people in and of the United Workers' Party, I see no end to that. Just don't make it too difficult. Don't make it too bitter. Don't make it too much of a rebuff. If such people put their tail in their legs and they want to turn away from Chasney and to the Labour Party, that we fundamentally make it difficult, if not impossible for them. Real Issues powered by Blue Waters. When we come back, Dr. Carlton Augustine.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real Issues, 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell Vieux 4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City C opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prio's Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosile Bus Stop. Prio's Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
McDowell Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
So much everyone for staying with the Real Issues powered by Blue Waters. We'll do the context and set the scene first with a short video clip from the news last night on Choice Television. We had it on NBC, but I trolled around and I listened to Choice and NBC and I decided let's use theirs. So I want to acknowledge that they are the owners of the copyright and intellectual property of those, and then I'll also play one from HTS with the same acknowledgement so that we can hear for ourselves the context of what Titus Previll said on Sunday at the Babono Town Hall and what Minister Emma Hippolyte tried to explain. Now, let me, before I do that, tell you that I myself, I'm not too sharp when it comes to, I've tried to read up on it and it leaves me confused. I'm not a very numerate person. I'm more literate than numerate. Numbers and a whole lot of those things, they're not my forte. So that is why I said, in addition to hearing what Minister Emma Hippolyte had to say, let me bring on Dr. Carlton Augustine after we've played the video clip so he can elaborate a bit more in a manner that we can understand. I know he's very capable and good at doing that. Well, let's play the Choice clip and then we'll play the HTS. We'll spend some time on that.
The government has taken drastic measures to shield the average St. Lucian from escalating inflation. However, the opposition is increasing the political pressure with analyses that paint government's actions as insufficient.
Of the 70 items that they have zero rated, meaning they are applying zero VAT to them, are you aware that 25 of those 70 items, they were already VAT exempt? You want to talk about obfuscation? You want to talk about underhand and double dealing?
Today, the chair of the Joint Ministerial Task Force turned her attention to explaining the difference between VAT-exempt and zero-rated items in the hopes of separating politics from bread-and-butter economics. Chelsea Austin begins our newscast.
At today's pre-cabinet press briefing, Commerce Minister Honorable Emma Hippolyte addressed claims by UWP Babono candidate Titus Previll that the government has misled the public regarding the 70 items being zero-rated. She clarified the critical distinction between zero-rated and VAT-exempt goods. Minister Hippolyte emphasized that ahead of implementing the PIA administration's plan to reclassify certain goods as zero-rated to help curb rising food costs, the government conducted extensive consultations with stakeholders, the business community, and the Chamber of Commerce to determine which items would be designated as zero-rated versus exempt. Referencing her earlier remarks in Parliament, Hippolyte said she has made the distinction abundantly clear before and is doing so again now.
If an item is VAT exempt, that is, there is no VAT on the item for the consumer. However, the business person who is operating cannot claim the VAT associated with the sale of that item. However, when an item is zero-rated, Again, the consumer does not get the VAT, but the business place can claim the expenditure associated with the sale of that item.
The minister went on to highlight the importance and could not stress enough just the stark difference between the two.
Yeah, again, in my presentation in Parliament, I clarified it several times. The business community then have the opportunity to share that savings, that VAT savings, with the general public. So it has an implication in terms of bringing down the price of that item.
Titus Preville was officially launched as a UWP candidate for Babonneau on Sunday, July 27th. He previously served for several years as Permanent Secretary within the Ministry of Commerce, working in a technical capacity. It is therefore both ironic and laughable that Preville now claims if the UWP assumes office, they will implement inflation-fighting policies. Given his insider experience within the ministry, his statement hardly inspires confidence, ironically coming from someone deeply familiar with how commerce policy is developed and implemented.
He was the permanent secretary, the head of the Ministry of Commerce. He was the technical head of the Ministry of Commerce for all this time, and he has not prepared. He did not present one policy statement to the government that was not implemented. What head is he now going to put to bring new suggestions now?
Furthermore, the minister stated the Ministry of Commerce has grown substantially under the current administration.
If you look at where the Ministry of Commerce was yesterday and where it is today, a vast difference. Not only in price control items and what we're doing now in terms of containing high prices, when you look at our MSME program, when you look at our Love St. Lucia program, that's a ministry that has moved way beyond where Mr. Preville was. And this government and this country is not going back. We are moving forward.
That was Commerce Minister Honorable Emma Hippolyte referring to the statements by Mr. Titus Preville, who formerly worked with her, I think in the ministry, because she was Commerce Minister in a previous term. We have with us on the line now Economist Dr. Carlton Augustine. Carlton, good afternoon to you and welcome once again to The Real Issues. Thank you so much at short notice for agreeing to join us here today.
Yes, good afternoon, Shelton. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Carlton, I'm going to begin by asking you, which is better, VAT exempt or zero rated? Which one is the better situation to prevail for businesses, for consumers, whatever? Go ahead.
All right, so let me start by explaining the distinction between the two. If an item is zero rated, it means that there is VAT on it, but the rate charged to the final consumer is zero. Okay? So the consumer does not pay any VAT.
Okay.
But the seller, when he bought the goods, say at wholesale, or if someone making a product, would have paid VAT on the inputs. So
the VAT would have been built into the price structure up until the point of the end user, aka the point of sale consumer.
So there's no VAT paid by the end user.
Okay.
If a good is VAT exempt, there is no VAT on it on the final sale. The distinction comes in terms of the accounting. If it is zero rated, the seller could file to reclaim the VAT which he paid earlier.
Okay.
So input VAT is refundable for zero rated. So from an accounting standpoint, from a profitability standpoint, zero rated is better for the seller because he could reclaim the input VAT that he paid.
Okay.
If it is VAT exempt, there's no charge to the final consumer, but no input VAT can be reclaimed.
Let us try let's try to give an example that maybe people can relate to. Let's imagine that we have a situation where you have a supply chain or a value chain that involves a manufacturer. The manufacturer passes things in bulk to a distributor, because the manufacturer only wants to be involved in manufacturing. They don't want to be involved in going and distribute. So they give a distributor. The distributor will sell to different wholesalers. So that's the third person in that supply or value chain. You'll tell me what the right terminology is. And those retailers that get from the wholesaler or wholesalers will now sell to the end user, so the manufacturer sells to the distributor. The distributor, let's say he adds on 15% for VAT. Does that sound right? And then the distributor sells to the wholesaler, and on that price which they got from the manufacturer, to which 15% was added, they add 15% of their own for their VAT, right?
Yes.
And then to the end user, which is the person at the cash register point of sale, the retailer adds on a 15%. So throughout the value chain, it keeps increasing by 15% until it gets to the end user. How would you call that situation if in fact it's a realistic one? Is that or at the end of it all, the retailer is told, don't add the VAT to the person who's buying at the cash machine? How do you describe that?
Okay, so if it is VAT exempt, there's no VAT at the final sale.
Okay.
However, along the chain, from the manufacturer to the distributor, there would have been a VAT.
Okay. So all of them collect a VAT because it's not their money at the end of the day. Whatever VAT they collect, they have to pass it on. But it is at the final point of sale that you say, do not tack on any more 15% to the end user. So that you are saying is a zero rated.
Zero rated. But in case of the VAT exempt now, the final consumer does not pay VAT. Okay. But the difference is that the people ahead at the back of the supply chain, the distributors, the wholesalers would pay VAT. They cannot deduct that VAT expense. If it is zero rated now, the consumer does not pay VAT. But the people ahead,
they pay it.
The people to the back of the chain could deduct the inputs, the VAT which they paid.
Okay, all right.
So in terms of the profitability, zero rated means that costs are lower for the seller and other people along the supply chain. So there is the possibility that there could be a greater price saving.
Okay.
Because they have lower costs to the consumer. Whereas if it is VAT exempt, people earlier in the supply chain would be reliable for VAT. So the cost would be higher, but the final consumer does not pay VAT.
Okay.
So it is likely that these sellers could pass on their costs to the consumer. So it is likely that in the event of zero rated VAT, the price is likely to be lower to the final consumer than if it is VAT exempt, simply due to the fact that with zero rated VAT, input VAT is deductible, whereas if VAT exempt, it is not deductible.
Okay, all right, okay. I'm beginning, now that you mentioned about the deductible, I'm beginning to understand it a little better because I was just as confused with you as otherwise, but that's me. Is there ever a situation, Carlton, where by legislation or policy, whatever, there is no VAT anywhere in the value chain? In other words, the manufacturer is not required to add on and to remit VAT to the Inland Revenue Department. The manufacturer can just sell on to the distributor, and the distributor is not required to tack on or pass on any VAT to the Inland Revenue. The distributor sells to the wholesalers, and the wholesalers are not required to tack on or pass on any VAT. And so it is with the wholesalers to the retailers, that the wholesalers are not required to tack on any VAT when selling to the retailers. And so none of these previous components of the supply chain have any responsibility for collecting and remitting VAT. But there is one proviso that when you sell to the people, you also do not put on any VAT on that. Is there ever a case where there's a totally VAT-free supply chain or value chain?
Not really. Well, you have either VAT exempt or zero rated. And the distinction comes in with whether input VAT is recoverable. So I couldn't answer, to be honest. I couldn't answer. I'm not aware of a situation where there's
Okay.
There's no VAT along the supply chain.
Okay.
But what I'm aware of is that the law allows for a distinction to be made between the two in terms of input VAT treatment.
Okay.
So again, if it is zero rated, the final consumer does not pay VAT, but the seller could deduct the VAT that he paid. If it is VAT exempt now, the final consumer does not pay VAT, but input VAT is not recoverable.
Okay. Wow.
So that's a big distinction in terms of the profitability of the seller.
So it does seem to me that merchants are more likely to prefer the zero rated.
Yes, of course.
All right. So if something was already VAT exempt, as Titus Sprayville is claiming, 25 items, and now the government has made them zero rated, everybody goes home happier. Is it fair to say that?
Yes, should be. Yes, that's the situation.
Okay.
So it's not the same. I think he was a bit confused. I don't know.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Confused or disingenuous, whatever. When you listen to that...
Well, whatever...
Yeah, I'm not asking you to pass judgment, but what was your feeling, your reaction to hearing a former director of commerce, a permanent secretary, a head of CSME and so on, if not confusing, but conflating the two, the exemption and the zero rating?
Well, maybe he thought that people wouldn't do their homework, or there are people out there who wouldn't know what, the distinction between the two. He's on a political platform. What do you expect to get from the UWP? That's the kind of thing, he's using the playbook, trying to confuse people, He knows, I think he knows in his mind the distinction. But, he's on the UWP platform. This is the kind of thing Alan Chastney would do, so he's following the leader.
Okay.
That's all I would say, about that.
What do you think?
There's a clear distinction between the two.
Yeah. What do you think this should tell us about the need for continued education about VAT? It's clear that we've had VAT for quite a few years now, but the UWP keeps on trying to make an issue of it. They keep on trying to make heavy syrup of it, to make it something, like you say, to confuse people, to continue to make it like it is a big platform for them of opposition to the government and how the government is not managing the country well. VAT continues to be in the UWP mind a weapon that is viable, that has some kind of clout and hope for them in their politicking and electioneering. What do you think needs to be done in terms of making sure that kind of confusion is not inflicted on the St. Lucian public?
I think, Pat, the blame lies to me with my party, the St. Lucia Labour Party, and I'm not speaking as an economist here. I felt from the very outset, the party did not mount a vigorous defense against the attacks on the VAT by the United Workers' Party. And it continues. I remember speaking to Honorable Ernest Hill. I was disappointed that the licks the party took. And I blame myself because I was in a position to help, but I was going through some stuff so I never helped. But I saw Honorable Ernest Hill years later, and you know what he said to me? Oh, Dr. Anthony explained it in the House. And I was trying to say to him, yes, in the House, but you need to go out there and break it down to people. So that's why the machinery, the PR machinery, the different need to, because Honorable Emma Hippolyte explained the distinction, yet we have Titus Sprayville trying to conflate the two, trying to get some political miles. So it's important. It is too important of an issue to just repeat it in the House and not go out and explain it to people. Because it's a very technical issue. And in preparation for today, I had to read up. I couldn't just come and speak off the top of my mind. It's something that is that technical that we have to be out there at all times, educating people on the VAT, how it works, how it operates, the nitty-gritties, so that, yes, Honorable Emma Hippolyte explained it in the House, and she came, but more needs to be done. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to explain the distinction between the two.
Thank you very much, Dr. Carlton Augustine. Always a pleasure. Always appreciate having you. And let's hope it won't be too long before we can have you again providing enlightenment on some area of your specialization. Grateful. Have a nice remainder of your Tuesday.
Thank you, Shelton. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Real Issues powered by Blue Waters. We go into our final commercial break for today's program, and when we come back, it's all about you. The telephone lines will be open for your calls and to read at least some of your many messages.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues, 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
On Thursday, July 31st, the day before the holiday, the Energizer, DJ Orlando presents his massive birthday bash. Massive birthday bash. We're gonna be celebrating with DJ Orlando. Upstairs the Castries Market. Only $15 gets you up on the inside. Featuring DJ Elton, DJ Leroy, St. Lucia's #1 country and western DJ. Also, DJ Salvin, and the birthday boy himself, DJ Orlando. All powered by The Entertainer Sounds. Lots of door prizes to be won. Also, cash giveaways on that night. So on Thursday, July 31st, it's gonna be one to remember as we get set to turn up and party up inside the Energizer, DJ Orlando's massive birthday bash. Upstairs the Castries Market. See you there.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell Vie 4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop, opposite the Grosley Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosley.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
What is the vision for the Vendors Arcade? To provide a world-class shopping environment where local goods and services can be provided and experienced by locals and visitors. Why is this redevelopment necessary? The renovations and expansions will revitalize the infrastructure and enhance the shopping experience for vendors, locals, and visitors. Who will be responsible for the Vendors Arcade? The arcade will continue to be operated and managed by the Castries Constituency Council, who will have full responsibility for the rental and maintenance of the space. How will construction of the Vendors Arcade be managed? A phased approach will be employed to minimize disruption to daily operations. After the completion of each phase, vendors will be relocated from the former arcade, and this will continue until completion of the new facility. St. Lucia Cruise Port, investing in people.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues, 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Real Issues powered by Blue Waters. The telephone lines are open for your calls. WhatsApp call us on 758-487-9849. That's 487-9849. We can take WhatsApp calls on that number, and the landline is available to you, 4533-911. I think we have our first caller. You're on the air. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Shelton.
Hey, what's up, Miggs?
I'm good, my brother. How are you? Good afternoon, Jaquan, and to your viewers and listeners.
Right. Yeah, we okay. And I did not ask if you're okay.
I'm there, trudging along.
Yours is the voice of okayness.
Shelton, there's something I'm sure you can relate to as a journalist. You know, throughout your tenure or the course as you navigate journalism, there are many people, professionals along the way who you would say have helped you out. We're talking about people maybe in the legal profession and technocrats who've been able to, for lack of a better term, dumb down things, certain issues of the day, so you would understand and better relay to the people.
They help you along,
Yes.
Give you a little hand holding, give you a little bit of,
Right.
basically with
Now,
things to make you better, understand them better, yes.
Exactly. Titus Prevail is one of those for me personally. And I will and I want to give a quick story and I'll get to the point. During his tenure as the PS at Commerce under the Honorable Emma Hippolyte, Article 164, which we heard about some years ago, the first time it read its head for me was about 2014. And that was where we sought to invoke Article 164 to further stimulate local manufacturing. So we're talking about things on bottled water, solar panels, and even juices, because at the time I think people like Peter Gordon were among those who were making noise because a lot of their juices and drinks were imported from Barbados, and Barbados was identified as one of those middle developed countries where it will attract greater duties, greater tariffs based on the country of origin. Now, when that came up, I went to Mr. Prevail as the PS, to give me a statement, about Article 164, whatever about it and everything. And one of the first questions he asked me, Shelton, was, have I read about it? Do I understand what I'm coming to ask him and everything? And I told him, well, to be honest, I haven't read much about it. And in there, he handed me a copy of the revised treaty of Chaguaramas, Shelton. And he said to me, don't come to him again to ask questions if I do not understand. And he gave me his copy, and it's one which I treasure and keep today. All right? And he said, don't ever come to him to ask questions, and I don't know what I am coming to ask him about. And that's one of the lessons that had actually stayed with me throughout my tenure as a journalist. But I say this to say, Shelton, which it really confuses me why a gentleman like Mr. Prevail, who possesses principles like these, would be on a platform spreading misinformation regarding the VAT, especially having served at the senior-most position within the Ministry of Commerce. And to add to that, there's a saying that I've heard people say, show me a friend so I'll tell you who you are. But Brother Delillah at St. Mary's College, my first math teacher, taught us the word is not who, it's what you are. So it begs the question, if you're going to associate yourself with the likes of Alan Chastney and Guy, who have proven to deliberately spread misinformation to fool the people of St. Lucia, it begs the question, what exactly are you? I thought I knew who you are, right? And I'm not going to be one of those who's going to be bashing about whatever. I quite agree with what you said earlier about, that all the ad hominems and all the attacks on Mr. Prevail. I think we should address and attack his policy decision, his policy direction or his policy proposals or lack thereof, and just leave it at that. But just to say, I'm very disappointed as a man who possesses those principles of always being armed with the information, will choose to use misinformation to mama-guide people. Yeah. Thank you very much, Shelton.
Thank you very much. Yes, appreciate the call. First one, Miguel Favre there with us. And don't forget the numbers, 487-9849. That's the mobile number on which you can WhatsApp call us. And the local landline, 4533-911. I think we're getting another call. Let's take it. Real Issues, you're on the air. Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, hello, good afternoon. Sorry about the talk, there's just disturbing issues there.
Okay.
But I've had one opportunity to compliment and applaud the doctor you had on the thing there the last time.
Dr. Carlton Augustine?
I have another opportunity to compliment him on his clarity as far as this debate about the zero-weighted or VAT exempt is concerned.
Okay.
If I believe in the whole psyche of the UWP, there is a mission to really confuse the people of St. Lucia, the voting public, and things so. But what makes me very elated about that is that there is hope for the party of the St. Lucia Labour Party, headed by Philip J. Pierre and the government, with respect to the persons who we can classify as intellectual people, like Carlton Augustine, but my brother yourself. I don't know what adjective I have to attach to it, because when I heard you earlier on and you were, I was feeling as though you were looking for excuses for your position and them kind of thing. The Labour Party, as a party, the government under Philip J. Pierre, and the working people need people like yourselves, Carlton Augustine and others, with the clear thinking with respect to the debate that's going to emerge as far as the general election, whenever it is called, is concerned. Yeah, I'm a little bit taken up and about the whole furor, if I can't use that word, the whole thing there about the gentleman from Babono who wants to contest on behalf of the UWP. When you really classify that whole system, and people are raising about his attachment to CARICOM and them kind of things there, then we hear of what other people there, the teacher fella from Miku South, I heard name going around, Johnson & Johnson, Castries East, and them kind of issues. We must make it clear that the Labour Party and the government of the Labour Party have qualified and experienced people on their side too. I'm not sure that distinction is being made for the electorate to really make a decision. I will not even raise the question about the leader of the opposition and the Prime Minister. What really killed me yesterday, I was in a place around the Millet area there in the middle of the day, and I was talking to a person, and he was advancing and trying to compare Philip J. Pierre and Alan Chasney. There's no comparison into how St. Lucia has been moving, the way the working people have actually benefited from the governance of. There's no argument on that. So what I see and perceive is that all these intellectuals, if I want to catch them into one bag, the diplomat, my brother there, Preville and this kind of, is to just package this thing and to, let me tell you something that people, and I don't think the media is taking note of that. I was watching TikTok, I don't know which was TikTok and YouTube. And what a comrade, I say comrade, what the leader of the opposition, Alan Chasney, was making. He was really intervening as far as religion, Catholicism, and them things were concerned. He was making a whole kind of thing on that. And when I heard the news that in Babono, the partner there hug him and them kind of things there, what I'm saying is that he's really looking to work on the religious psyche of the voters as to what decision is to be made, right? I don't want to have the program, but one decision that voters in the coming election, whenever it is called, has to make is which of these two parties have effectively and truly represented the interests of what I call the working people of Pagal. And the history is clear to be told. We have said about Sir John and the efforts he has made for the advancement of St. Lucia, yes. But to what extent these things have really catapulted or filtered to as far as the working people is only on the Labour Party. George Charles at first, it was a little bit thing. Was a partner named there? The Louisi, one thing and the whole thing there. Kenny Anthony came and began setting the basis for it. He set the basis for it very clear. And the Prime Minister who's there now, he's catapulting on things to really advance it. So it really kills my mind. How the English says it, it cudgels my mind as to St. Lucians when they have to make that decision, what direction really going. And that really will depend will decide on the direction and the trajectory of St. Lucia's development and the interests of its people. Thank you very much for taking your time.
Thank you very much, my brother. Appreciate it. We have another call on the line. Real Issues, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon, Sheldon.
You got it, call the TV voice.
Hey, good afternoon, Sheldon. Good afternoon, Sheldon.
Oh, happy tell message ou ça parce que voix pas même sorti. What's up, my buddy?
I'm good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Sheldon, like I said, my point will be very short today. It's a sad day when we have reached a place
Speak up, my bro. Speak up.
Yeah, I'm saying it's a sad day.
Today?
Today, and it's a sad day when you see men
okay.
of integrity fall prey to the chasne, the flu. Because I've known Titus Peril for a very long time.
Yes.
I know, like you, Titus Peril is a man of honesty. I know him to be a man of integrity. And for me, he has hit an all-time low. And just like the persons who align with Donald Trump end up going down this dark rabbit hole and they lose their soul in the process.
including one of them who I think she's a lawyer. She's what? She's director of something, if not the attorney general. She went and they asked her, what is habeas corpus? And she said habeas corpus is a law that allows the president to deport people.
Exactly. Right? So it's like a disease that once you join this man, you lose
Yeah, he doesn't
your
seem
soul.
to have an uplifting or elevating effect on people. Once they get into his circle, it's like you can immediately see the dumbing down, you know.
Yes.
Stephen, a guy like him, it becomes Bolom talk and you know, Tommy Descat talks, and he cannot see the value in relocating people from an expanding slum ghetto at Banan, you know, and it's like asking the people to dig in their heels and mount resistance and defiance against a plan to elevate them. You know, they're living,
their lives.
I don't know, you know.
Yes, so when you see men who are supposed to have been standing on principles and conviction before fall prey to those things, first you're surprised. The next thing, and I concur with you, maybe there's a small amount of persons who basically infiltrated the United Workers' Party to get rid of Chasney. And because I cannot fathom how Titus Preville will follow Chasney anywhere, not even to the supermarket.
That's what I'm saying. You know, sometimes there could be a lot more in the mortar in the mortar than just the pestle. So you know, don't get a little too overreactive and riled up. Resist, oppose, criticize. You know, put fire. You know, but you know, measure how you do it, because you
measure how you do it
exactly. You know,
because what I know Titus stood up for in times past is not what he's standing up for today. And the principles that guided his entire career, apparently he's willing to flush it down the toilet at his own expense. But like I say, it's never too late once we still have the breath of life. So I think there is hope. And like you, I am a firm believer that certain persons have put themselves in the United Workers' Party to see the back of Alan Chasney. Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. And it may well be that some of those people, you know, there's a saying, that sometimes you have to stoop to conquer. You know, that those people, they probably believe that they are on a mission to rescue the United Workers' Party, but in order to rescue, you first have to get a toehold, you know, and then a foothold, and then a leg up, and to get in a position where you can do things that you need to get in there in order to, I think you know the rest. We have another call on the line. Real Issues.
Hi, Shelton.
Hey, what's up, bro?
Not too bad. How are you?
Okay, how about you?
Not too bad, my brother. Shelton, listen. Let me say I endorse I completely endorse what Miguel said to you earlier. And let me say, too, that I consider Titus Previll a friend of mine. Not a close friend, but a friend nonetheless. Look, I have a healthy respect for Titus because he strikes me as being very intelligent, hardworking, and he has something of a genial nature. But up to last Sunday, or before last Sunday, I also respected his judgment. But after last Sunday, no. I can no longer respect that judgment. I mean, quite apart from the statement that he made in terms of the distinction he tried to put forward in terms of VAT-exempt and zero-rated goods. Titus also made a statement about that if the United Workers' Party wins the next elections, they would introduce good governance and government. What? Are you kidding me? The United Workers' Party will introduce good governance and government and good government?
Not only that, that statement is self-incriminating. If it's now, if you win the next elections in 2026, that you're going to introduce it.
Exactly.
So it means you are admitting that you didn't have it and you had not embraced it and you had not implemented it before. What were you doing all the time?
I suspect too, what he was trying to say was under the Philip J. Pierre administration, that doesn't exist. I suspect too that's what he was trying to say. But he didn't say it well. But then when you come and talk about you're going to introduce, and here's where, I put this huge question mark, because the Governor General's speech of July 12, 2016, right before Alan Shastney's first budget presentation, and remember, the Governor General's speech reflects the government's intentions. Here are some things the Governor General said. And I quote, "My government," and I'll read it quickly, "my government is a government of and for all St. Lucians, no matter what their orientation or persuasion may be." Close quotes. Open quotes. "Besides, this country belongs to all of us. We all have a right to our stake in it, to enjoy the fruits of our collective efforts and to an acceptable standard of living for ourselves and for our families. Our only caveat is that those who are the weakest, most vulnerable, and most at risk among us are the ones in greatest need and will therefore be treated accordingly. And again, my government, when it formed Her Majesty's opposition in Parliament, articulated the need for a new governance structure, a new apparatus, a governance paradigm that empowers citizens and puts them at the center of our development and decision-making processes. And again, we will function on the basis of mutual respect and with due regard to the conventions of Parliament and our Constitution." Shelton, listen. I mean, does Titus believe that the 2016 to 2021 government of Alan Shastney and Guy Joseph executed any of the intended actions that I just mentioned from the Governor General's speech?
Absolutely not.
Exactly. Yeah. What Alan Shastney and Guy Joseph did, and the rest of them, in the 2016 to 2021 tenure, was make a mockery of this entire thing.
Yes.
And for Titus Previll, my friend, and I'll continue to consider him my friend because I have no malice against Titus. I am merely speaking from a position of what I know and what I believe about Titus's judgment at this particular juncture in his career. For Titus to make that kind of statement when he knows he must have a full record of Alan Shastney's stint in government in 2016 to 2021. So to pretend that you don't know, or you're attempting to whitewash, or attempting to fool people into believing that you don't know, and here is a man who didn't do the 2016 to 2021 stint in government with that horrible, horrific record. Come on. To quote somebody we know, it's like pissing in our eyes and calling it rain. Thanks, Shelton.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, I think we have another caller waiting. Thank you so very much for your patience. You're on the air now. Hello?
Good afternoon, Shelton.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon to you.
How are you?
I'm doing great, and you?
Malarman. we don't have much time, so let's see this.
Mm-hmm.
One of the greatest characteristics of Alan Chasney, if you have noticed, is that anything he touches, it diminishes. Whether it be person, thing, or government, it just diminishes. Notice that with Tommy Descott. Oh, let's first start with, what's her name? The doctor, the one with the PhD in ICT or that, you know?
Who's that, Joycelyn?
And then we have Gail, we have Tommy Descott, Stephen Favre, and now we have Titus making a mockery of himself.
So you're saying that as an economist, Alan Chasney specializes in devaluing human currency?
Is he an economist?
You know, let's not bother going there. As an economist, his specialization is the devaluation of human currency. Huh? Go ahead.
Peut-être que nullify ça just là. So let's leave it as that. That is the best way to describe the man. And any point or a desire to change anything, the best thing for the St. Lucia Labour Party and this government is Alan Chasney as leader of the United Workers' Party, properly deputized by Guy Joseph.
So what are you telling me there? What are you telling me there? You would ask Dr. Harak Singh to kind of go easy because you think he's the best thing
No,
for us?
Don't say one thing.
Before Harak Singh, maybe me, that's why me say, me you crazy Zoe and make yourself.
Écoutez-moi. Si monsieur perd après élection, let me say perd. Ou savent monsieur pas give up leadership là.
Okay, all right. Okay. Moko point.
Il pas calé pièce côté là, pas rien yo ça fait.
A non-parliamentary, unelected UWP leader, okay?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Let's see if we can squeeze in one last call.
Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon. Real Issues.
Yes. All right.
Yeah, Real Issues. You're on the air. Go ahead. Hello. All right, this person is listening to the radio, etc. So we have to let's disconnect that call. All right. So thank you so very much, everybody, for being part of. One person messaged and said, Shelton, can you have Carlton repeat the part about the deduction? I'm sorry if he didn't, but I didn't see the message. It's hard focusing on the interview and at the same time, to be watching out for the message. So it's only after when the interview closed that I was able to do that. Let me see if there's another one. Someone says, good afternoon, Shelton. Shame on Titus, trying to confuse the people. He should know better. He is trying to do exactly like Shas, confusing the layman. I hope he comes and explain those things he said. Again, shame on him. This person, entity nice, not giving him a break. I'm very sorry to my friend from Canada who was trying to call, but on my phone. Peter the Great, I hope we have better luck next time. I know you called my phone because you probably tried, our on-air number and you couldn't get through, but it was just difficult at that time after I closed up the interview with Carlton for me to be taking. I do it when our phones are not working on my personal number, but I couldn't handle it today. You're always welcome. I always like having you. And to the people on the Facebook Live, thank you so very much for keeping the boiler room really working and fired up in terms of the discussions that you have there. You really are a self-sustaining group. You don't need moderator or host or anybody to really guide you. You really are on fire all the time and providing all the energy and the heat, the chalet for the real issues to keep turning over. That's our program for today. Thank you so very much, everyone. Thanks, Jaquan, for another great job. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday safely. For now, Shelton Daniel signing out for Real Issues, powered by Blue Waters.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real Issues, 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
The winning numbers for the midday draw of Tuesday, 29th July 2025 were Double Daily Grand 2, 7, 8, 19, Big 4 2, 1, 2, 5. The Big 4 multi-X ball drawn is FE. Pick 2, 6, 6. The Pick 2 multi-X ball drawn is 2X. One off 6, 6, 6. Lucky 3 6, 4, 9. The Lucky 3 multi-X ball drawn is 2X.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here